Hi, I'm Dr. Rick Duplantis, and you're watching It's Your Health. My guest tonight, Coach Travis Werner. Coach Werner is the current coach for the powerlifting team of Abbeville High School. And got a few questions for Coach Werner here. Coach, I want you to tell me, what is powerlifting?
Well, powerlifting is a sport involving weights designed to test total body strength. The lifter demonstrates their leg strength with the squat, their back strength with the deadlift, and their upper body strength with the bench press. And then the most weight that they can squat, bench press, and deadlift is added together for a total, and they compete against other people that are approximately the same body weight and the same age group. So a teenager would compete against teenagers, a master lifter over the age of 40 would compete against a master lifter.
And it goes by age and weight, you tell me.
Correct. There are 9 weight classes for the men, starting with 116 pounds. And then there's 9 weight classes, and anyone over 264 pounds is considered a super heavyweight. And then there's no limit to that. The women have 8 weight classes ranging from 103 pounds all the way up to 185 plus.
And women are very active in powerlifting. It's something that's kind of new to me. But surprisingly, and I think it's an awesome thing, and your daughter is only 9 years old and she's a powerlifter.
Correct, right.
I'm amazed. It's really amazing. And I had a question. What age can an individual start powerlifting? I'm going to ask you that question.
What age can they start training? Well, Claire's my daughter. Claire was training with a broomstick when she was 3 years old. Competing, you're the USA Powerlifting, which is a drug-free organization that we put meets on through and that we compete in. USA Powerlifting allows youth lifters to begin at age 8. And then there's, of course, no limit to how old. We have the oldest member of USA Powerlifting in Louisiana is an 86-year-old, Dr. Raymond Curtis. So we range from Claire being the youngest to 86.
It's amazing. I know Vince Bro from Reds, he holds a world record in the bench press at 65. How much did he bench press at that time? I think it was 500 pounds or 600 on that?
Well, what's so tremendous about him is that as he ages, his numbers didn't go up substantially as he aged, but he just kept getting older. So he had a 500 bench press into his late 60s, and that's when the record started to fall. He was tremendously strong with
And he held his strength.
Correct. He held his strength into a late age, and the older he got, the more substantial his records became.
Sure, I see what you're saying. It's interesting. So it's a young person's sport. It's an older person's sport.
Correct.
You can compete as long as you can step up to the bar, I guess, and lift.
Right.
As an older person.
And if injuries limit you as you age, then there are meets that are just for the bench press. A lot of lifters have knee or back injuries, and most people can perform a bench press.
Correct, yeah. Even, I guess, wheelchair people, the handicapped.
They sure do. In fact, they make specialized bench presses for handicapped athletes that hold them onto the bench.
That's tremendous. A lot of people, there's powerlifting, and then there's Olympic lifting. And when I was just starting to work out myself, I was kind of confused with where one started and the other left off, and what's the difference. And can you explain what a power lifter is versus an Olympic lifter? And answer this question, because I really don't know this answer. Is powerlifting an Olympic sport?
Well, I can answer all those questions. Olympic weightlifting outdates powerlifting. It traces back to the late 1800s, actually, and that is the weightlifting sport that's in the Olympics, hence the name Olympic weightlifting. It involves 2 lifts, both which start with the bar on the floor and end with the bar overhead. There's the clean and jerk, which is 2 motions, one motion to your shoulder and then another motion over your head. And then there's the snatch, which is just 1 motion from the floor overhead. That is a highly technical sport. In fact, a lifter with supreme form, supreme technique can defeat a stronger lifter every time in that sport. And that's where powerlifting gained its popularity. Starting in the 1950s, they didn't call it powerlifting, they called it the odd lifts. You started seeing competitions popping up around the country where they do lifts that weren't so dependent on form. Sometimes they'd have squats, sometimes they'd have bench press, sometimes they'd have even a curl. And then starting in the early 1960s, they gave it a name, powerlifting, and it was designed to be more dependent on strength than technique. But of course, technique's a big part of it as well.
Sure. You know, I can remember way back when, you know, I've done some training, a lot of training myself from an early age. And people cheat when they work out, you know, and at these meets, you can't cheat. I mean, I've seen people bridge their back, arch their back when they're doing a bench press where the bar is just moving just several inches. It's really not going all the way down the chest. So in powerlifting, you go down, you pause, there's a whistle or a clap, and then they go and start lifting again. Explain that to me, what's the technique, and we're gonna go do some demonstrations a little bit later in the show, but tell me that, you know, a little bit about the technique for us, the time, if they have to remain flat on their back, I think, you know, for the bench press and the power meets.
Well, you can't lift, there are commands. For the squat, you walk the barbell out and then you're told squat. And once you go below parallel and come back up, you're told to rack it. So it's all in a controlled motion.
Right.
The bench press, there's 3 commands, and the one that you're thinking of, there's a press command. You have to bring it down, pause it on your chest, and then once you've paused on your chest, you get told to press it back up. Your head can't lift up, your butt can't lift off the bench. So it's all controlled motion. In fact, that's a big part of the skill of a powerlifting coach or a powerlifter is not making those mistakes. And I tell my athletes, we'll beat a lot of teams and a lot of lifters by simply not making mistakes. A lot of strong lifters go out there, they lift their butt on the bench press, or they squat before they get the command, or they don't go deep enough, and so they get their lifts turned down. And so a lifter that goes out there and makes their attempts can oftentimes beat the stronger lifter just by being smarter.
Just by doing the right proper technique.
Correct.
Okay, interesting. Tell me about your background. When did you start powerlifting, at what age, and you know, give me a little bit about your CV here. Tell us your credentials.
Sure.
I know you were the winning coach behind UL. You went to 3 national powerlifting championships. School like University of Lafayette at University of Louisiana at Lafayette. Excuse me. I used to call it USL, so I keep wanting to go back to that when I was here with USL. You brought UL's team to the nationals and won 3 years, I think, in a row, was it? Or at least 3 years?
3 out of 5 years.
3 out of 5 years while you were the coach. I think that's tremendous. Says a lot about you. I think the people in Abbeville are very fortunate to have a coach like you and such, a winning coach, because, you know, coach is not only about the fact that you know powerlifting and how to train an athlete, but you know how to get the best out of a kid. You know how to bring out their potential, and you motivate these kids. And I think that's a very, very important factor. And I know that from powerlifting and just working out of my own experience, you gain tremendous amount of discipline. And your excellent athletes are also your excellent students, because the discipline in the gym, whether it's powerlifting or any other sport that you're training for, you learn that discipline carries over into everything you do. And these are your powerlifters, your winners in powerlifting or sports, are usually winners in life as well, in other areas of life. So I want to tell us about your background, your career in powerlifting.
I'll certainly do that. Before I do, I'd like to point out, you touched on something that's often not recognized, and that powerlifters, at UL when I coached there and now at Abbeville High, they have a substantially higher GPA and a substantially higher graduation rate than the regular student population. And the reason is, the whole sport is based upon discipline. Powerlifting is for disciplined athletes that have the self-will to set a long-term goal and devote a lot of time to it. It requires time management, it requires dedication, and so by the very nature of what it requires to be a powerlifter, we attract kids who are disciplined and mature. And what we have is we had a graduation rate at UL over 80% from my team. So, you know, at a university that has a 42% graduation rate over a 6-year period, we were graduating about 80% of our lifters, and I think that's phenomenal.
A lot of your lifters have gone on to physical therapy and have had 3.9 averages, 3.5 averages because you get in physical therapy school. You've got to have very good grades, very competitive to get those positions. And a lot of these powerlifters, like a natural progression to go into physical therapy. I know I went into chiropractic, exercise physiology, and then medicine, all based on my interest in training. Funny as that sounds.
Right.
You know, how you correlate a hobby into an academic career and a professional career. But with these kids, it looks like that's the direction it goes to. These kids they go on to enter professional schools, they become, you know, they go into physical therapy and other allied health care professions, different things, but, they learn that discipline early on then.
Yeah, they sure do.
Yeah, interesting. Tell me about your list. I've seen some clips of you on the UL Facebook page. 750 pound a raw. Tell me what a raw squat is. Now I'm new to the powerlifting language now. I've been training all my life, but powerlifting is a different animal altogether. And tell us what is a raw lift versus a different kind of lift. I've seen the term a raw lift of 750 pound squat.
Sure, I'll give you a brief history on this.
Okay.
Powerlifting started out as raw, and what that means is you're not wearing any equipment that helps you lift the weight. A belt, which is for protection, but it doesn't rebound the weight and help you lift more. And that's how powerlifting started. In the early 1980s, it was discovered that you could wear a tight shirt to protect your shoulders. And you could wear a tight-fitting suit that looks like a wrestling singlet made of polyester, and it acted like a wrap for your hips. And so they started out with these cotton and polyester suits that were supportive of your joints. And that was a part of powerlifting. As the years progressed, the suits became tighter and thicker and provided more rebound. And so it got to a point where a lifter could oftentimes bench press 100 and sometimes even 200 pounds more by wearing a super tight polyester or denim shirt than they could with just a t-shirt. And as the years went on, the trend of geared powerlifting actually kind of wore itself out. It became so extreme that a suit would cost $200, $300, and it wasn't available to the general public. You needed to have a whole group to train with because you'd be bench pressing and squatting way more than you naturally could. And so a few years back, the sport started returning to raw lifting, which is just a belt and sometimes wrist straps to protect your joints, but nothing to recoil and lift more weights. And just in the past 5 years, since the return of raw lifting, USA Powerlifting has tripled its overall membership because it's a sport now that it's again available to the general public. They still have equipped lifting. We still do it in college and we still do it in high school. But most of the general public that's showing up at open meets now is lifting raw.
I understand. Yeah, I get the raw lifting now. I understand that. If somebody breaks a world record and they're wearing a suit versus not wearing a suit, is it recognized as a world record, so to speak? Is it, here, let me let you have that.
Sure thing.
You click on your shirt.
Well, there are separate records. So, yes, a lifter that wears the suits, we call that equipped lifting, they have their set of records. And the lifters that compete in the raw division, they have their records. Now, a lifter that lifts equipped cannot break a raw record. However, if a raw lifter lifts more than the equipped record, they can have both records.
Well, the equipped lifter has an advantage, in other words, then. It's easier to lift. Well, I've heard somebody say, well, look, he was wearing a special shirt and he was able to bench 600 pounds, and anybody could. I said, wait a minute. Tell me, what is the difference there? Is it cheating? And some people look at, oh, he's got a shirt on, that's why he lifted so much. Is that true?
Well, I can tell you, it's not cheating because everyone's wearing it. However, it is not indicative. The numbers that you say you're lifting is not truly what you just yourself are capable of lifting. Equipped lifters compete against equipped lifters, making it fair. Raw lifters lift against raw. To give you an idea, I can tell you my personal numbers. My personal raw bench press in competition in just a t-shirt is 435 pounds.
Impressive.
Wearing one of those bench press shirts, they call it, I've done 555 pounds. So I was getting 120 pounds more.
Whoa.
And that's a 1-ply shirt. The technology went on to 2 and 3-ply and sometimes even 4-ply shirts, and stories of guys bench pressing 400 pounds more in their shirt than they could naturally. USA Powerlifting offers 2 divisions, raw and then single-ply, 1-ply equipment. In the squat, my best raw squat was 639 pounds. In the equipment, I did 760.
Both pounders are very impressive, coach, to say the least. And you lift in what weight class did you lift in?
Well, I started in college in the 198-pound class and gradually progressed up to the 242-pound class.
Okay, impressive. Nonetheless, very impressive, very impressive. And you take all that experience and that training that you had, and you give it to these kids, and you share your knowledge. You've written a book on powerlifting. I read that on your page, and you didn't tell me about it when we talked and we texted, but you've written a book on the subject of powerlifting. Tell us about your book, and where can people get it if they want that book? Some of these kids out there.
Well, sure thing. Well, I guess I'll start by telling you how I became the UL powerlifting coach, because that's part of the story.
Yeah.
I was a competitive powerlifter in high school. I was self-taught, and I was a student of the game and competing since the age of 14. I moved from Pennsylvania to Louisiana at the age of 19 to go to college here. And when I got here, they did not have a powerlifting team. So I decided that I would start a team, and I was self-coached, and I knew that powerlifting was popular in the high schools in the area. So I thought there would be a lot of interest in forming a team. I put out flyers throughout the school, and I advertised, and I had 40 lifters. This was in the spring of 1999. I had 40 lifters contact me and say that they wanted to be a powerlifter at UL as part of the team. And so I told them, look, everybody train on your own, and we'll come together on meet day and we'll compete as UL powerlifting. And so I thought I had a 40-person team, and on meet day, 4 people showed up.
Oh boy.
3 of the 4 bombed out, meaning they didn't even know how to perform the lift properly enough to get credit for a lift, and I was the only one that got a total. And when that meet ended, they decided I was the coach. And I was the coach for 15 years that followed that. I graduated from UL and continued to be the coach.
Tremendous.
That's
That's tremendous. That's a heck of a story. I like that story. So you created powerlifting in Louisiana, or was it the college?
Well,
here in Lafayette.
In Lafayette, yes. Louisiana Tech.
You got it more organized.
Louisiana Tech was the premier college powerlifting team in the nation. They won 30 national championships in a 40-year period. When I came here, it was Louisiana Tech's heyday. And the year before I started powerlifting at UL, LSU started a team. So really rapidly, we went from having one school in the state to, in a matter of 2 years, LSU, UL, and Nicholls State all formed a team. And all 3 of us, Nicholls State, LSU, and UL, would also go on to win national championships.
Now, I've heard names of people, Warren Perrin, Weatherford, a lot of guys that were power lifters for UL, were champion power lifters, and this was like 25 years ago, 30 years ago. So something must have happened at UL, at University of Southwestern, that they had a team at one time, a long time ago, and these people, were part of that. Warren Perrin, the attorney here in town, Weatherford as well, and a number of other lifters. I don't mean to leave anyone out on purpose or intentionally here on my show, but other people were involved in it and excelled in it, and then all of a sudden you didn't hear anything about UL or USL powerlifting, and then you bring it. There's a resurgence in interest. You come to Louisiana, you go to UL, or USL at the time when the name change took place when you joined, and then kind of brought the enthusiasm back, or the organization back of the sport to the university.
Right.
I think that's phenomenal. I think it's an excellent sport. And if anybody out there wants to donate to this type of a program, which I think is excellent for these kids, teach them a great deal of discipline. You have to be disciplined and train as hard, for the powerlifting, and you have to train on a regular basis. You have to eat a very nutritious diet as well, and you learn those things as you're lifting, because you want to be the best and you want to be stronger, so you're going to have to eat well to healthy. And it's a positive thing for these kids. It keeps them out of trouble and gives them something to a goal to set. And you mentioned something very important, that these kids come to the game, into the sport, and they have this discipline. You kind of attract disciplined people and athletes, because that's what it takes. And you talk about, it goes on very apparent initially, and so they have to have a game plan, and then over time, to reach it. And the concept of the ability to have delayed gratification sign of intelligence. So you get some smart people.
Yeah.
People think that people that have a strong back and weak mind, but it's hardly the truth in powerlifting. They have to be, intelligent people coming to it and bringing that intelligence and that ability to plan and discipline, their training and their lifestyle for the sport as well. And like I said, it carries over into academics. Some of the best students, you have an 80% graduation ratio of your powerlifting team, and I know several of them have 3.9, averages 3.5 and above. They're all going to professional schools, so that's very impressive. I know training has helped me academically. It has led me into fields and areas academically and professionally that I would not have gone into had I not been involved with training, trying to get stronger, trying to get more physically fit, because you read a lot and you want to find out what's out there and how to be the better lifter. There's a secret. Everybody's looking for that secret. There's no shortcut. Hard work,
Right.
Nothing takes the place of hard work. I like the aspect about powerlifting in your program. It's drug-free. Now tell me about the testing that goes on in these athletes.
Sure thing. All meets are testing a minimum of 10% of the athletes. As you get to bigger national and world meets, they test a much greater number of athletes. If you set a record, we drug test you.
Good.
If you win your weight class, it's random drug testing, but it's up to the meet director. The meet director is more likely to choose the winning athletes. So if a lifter intends to use steroids to win, they're going to get tested. If you do go on and become a national championship, then you enter the pool of random drug tests, which means the USA Powerlifting can send a representative to you, and you have 24 hours to report to a drug testing center, and so at any time during the year,
This is random.
This is random supplies testing, and we do that year round to our top athletes here in
Because
Louisiana.
I'm aware, and then through my background and experience, training and my education, people can take steroids, get off of them, clear their body of the steroid, and compete, and still carry that strength with them. I know that for a fact. But I like the idea that they go out random. This guy could be like on his cycle, so to speak, in his training and taking these drugs, and they go in randomly and just knock on his door and say, look, we want a sample. We want to test you. Well, he's got no way to clear his body of the steroid. He can't get off of it. I mean, hey, he's got to go get tested, or I guess he kicked out of the federation.
Refusal to test, it's an automatic 2-year ban.
Or an automatic positive test.
Right.
Maybe probably.
And the lifters understand that,
Going into it, yeah, they know the rules.
they know this, an educated person can find out the half-lives of steroids.
No.
You're right, they can beat the test with ease.
Yeah,
But with the random drug testing,
eventually.
you're not gonna get to the top of our sport
Okay.
with steroids.
Well, I like that part, because not only are they not gonna take steroids, they're not gonna take mind-altering drugs, they're not gonna do cocaine, because these guys are athletes. Their body is an instrument. It's all about keeping themselves in top physiological condition. They're not gonna put things into their body normally, that's gonna hurt. Now, like you said, they might be motivated to try to cheat on fudge on the test and take the steroids to get a little bit stronger, but they're not gonna be doing these mind-altering drugs. They're not gonna go out and get drunk every weekend.
Right.
It produces a better kid, a better student, a better adult. And if anyone out there would like to contribute to this program, Coach, how can they send donations? How can they contact you if they would like to help, want to contribute for equipment to your program that you're in charge of right now in Abbeville?
Sure thing.
Give us a telephone number if we reach you.
My phone number is 337-349-2006. And I think it's interesting that you mentioned the old UL lifters. UL had one of the premier Olympic weightlifting teams from the 1950s through the 1970s. You mentioned 3 of their athletes, and all 3 of them have sponsored my teams. They've sponsored my teams at UL and at Abbeville High, and are current sponsors as well. And we greatly appreciate 30, 40 years after they've been out of the Iron Game, they're giving back. And it's meant a whole lot. So much of what we've been able to do as a program is because older lifters who found success have come back and given back to the Iron Game, and we greatly appreciate it.
And it says a lot about the sport, and I know those individuals are all very successful. Mr. Weatherford is in the insurance business, very successful in that area. Warren Perrin, of course, everybody knows Warren Perrin. He's Mr. Cajun of the area. He's the person behind Coderfield and the French movement and maintaining our culture and our heritage, and puts a lot of his time and efforts into that type of thing. And I see him still training at Reds. You know, he's still in good shape, and exercise is still important to him, and being fit and taking care of himself. So this is something that you start out. I started out at 13, and I'm still, well, a few years older than that now. I'm still training, you know. And so you can do this, and then, of course, we have Reverend Ralph, who's trained all his life. And I don't want to give out his age as such. I don't know if he wants me to reveal his age, but I think he will before too long. He's getting ready to cross a very big milestone, and still runs in excellent shape and in excellent health as well as a result. So this is something very positive for your children. You know, I really encourage them to go into weight training, powerlifting. It's very wholesome. It's going to give them some great values, how to live their life. It's going to carry over to their academics. It's going to make them a better student because they're going to learn that discipline. And they're going to bring that to the game. And we've got some great kids. You know, we've got your daughter here. I'd like you to demonstrate what these lifts are. The 3 lifts that are done in powerlifting meets, and the technique, and if you show all of your audience. Coach, you mind?
Sure thing. I'll show you the 3 power lifts and give some general pointers for lifting the maximal amount of weight, because there's some technique involved. There's some tricks that can immediately add weight to the amount that you can lift.
Yes, and let's introduce them, each lifter, and let them know who they are, and let them, if they want to say a few words, they're welcome to say a few words on camera.
Sure thing.
Okay, Coach. And I want my director to refocus our cameras, please. Coach Travis Warner.
Okay, in powerlifting, the first lift that you perform is the squat. And it's designed to test the athlete's lower body strength, the leg strength. To demonstrate this lift, I've brought a senior, the captain of my Abbeville High team, Shelby Gaspar. Shelby is 17 years old. She competes in the 105-pound weight class, and her squat technique is exceptional. In a powerlifting meet, we will have a squat rack, and the lifter approaches the bar and lifts it off the rack. We do not have that here, but what we have is a 65-pound bar, which we can hold up. The first thing you do is set your hands evenly. Now, I teach my lifters to grab the bar as close as you can, but where you can still keep your elbows underneath the bar. What that does is locks it in position, because you don't want anything to be loose in your upper body. Shelby's grip is just outside of her shoulders. Then she pulls underneath the bar. The next thing I teach them is, instead of wearing it really high up on your neck, which is more comfortable, to wear it lower on the shoulders. That lowers the bar, it lowers the center of gravity, which allows you to lift more weight. It also shifts the stress from your quadriceps on the front of the thighs more to your hips and glutes and hamstrings, which are bigger, stronger muscles. So she has a narrow hand placement, bar low on her shoulders, and we can let go of the bar. She'll walk it out, and she does it in 3 steps. 1, 2, 3. She practices that over and over and over again. And it might not seem important to walk a bar out with 3 steps with 65 pounds. But once you get up to 200 or 300 pounds, every step you take is wasted energy. Energy, ATP, that you might have needed to lock out the weight. So we always practice those 3 steps, so even when the weight is heavy, we save as much energy for the lift itself. Now here's where the most common mistake is in the squat. Most lifters start by squatting straight down, and I don't teach my lifters to do that. Shelby, could you turn to the side, please? Most lifters start by squatting straight down, and if you squat straight down, what happens is your knee shoots over top of your toe. It puts a tremendous amount of pressure on the knee, and once again, you're only using that weak muscle group, the quadriceps. Instead, I teach them to sit back. The first motion you do when squatting is sit back, and then you drop down. Go ahead and do a squat, Shelby. And up. And do one more. And up. and I don't know if you can see it, but by sitting back in the motion, what she did was it kept her shins almost vertical. Her knee never went out over top of her toe. There was minimal stress on her knee, and the muscle she used was her much stronger hips, glutes, and hamstrings. And if you want to turn and face the front, and we'll take the bar off. Shelby, anything you'd like to share about the sport, your experiences?
I've had a great experience. Our team is just like family. I mean, we work really hard together and we encourage each other and just follow example from a good coach.
Thank you very much. Again, Shelby is she's one of our premier lifters. Just before the season started last year, she broke her ankle and we lost her for almost the entire season, but she's fully recovered and entering her senior year, and we're excited. We expect some great things from her. That's the squat. The next lift is the bench press, and that's what everybody performs. Everyone knows the bench press. It's said that Monday at any gym in America is National Bench Press Day. Everyone likes the bench press. Everybody does it. I brought along Kyle Duplantis. Kyle, if you want to step into the camera, please. Kyle was the captain of my team at Abbeville High School this past year. He placed second in the state in the 3A state meet, and he set a state 3A bench press record. He lifted in the 165-pound class, and he bench pressed 310 pounds. He did that, all of my lifters at Abbeville High did that on 6 months of training. I started the team in August, and they all started lifting weights in August. And by March, my men's team placed third in the state meet in their first year. So from August, he was the first lifter to join our team, actually. The team started at Abbeville High with just he and I. From August until March, he built himself the state record in the bench press. And he did so with exceptional form and, of course, discipline. I mentioned we attract disciplined students. Kyle was our student body president. He was involved in everything we had at Abbeville High School. He received academic scholarships, and now he's entering his freshman year at UL. He's going to compete as a Raging Cajun powerlifter, and he is now my assistant coach of the Abbeville High powerlifting team. Since the bench press is his bread and butter lift, he'll demonstrate the form. If you want to lay down on the bench, and I'll talk you through it. Okay. First, just lie flat, and I'll show you what some common mistakes are. Let's slide the bench back a little bit. Or if we can get the camera back, maybe. Okay. A lot of people, whenever they bench press, they just lie flat as a pancake and leave their feet just lying on the ground. It's comfortable, but you're not going to bench press the maximum amount of weight by doing this. The bench press doesn't just have to be a chest exercise. With a few adjustments to the technique, you can get your whole body involved into it and lift a lot more. The first thing I have them do is grip the barbell, and we'll do that in just a second. Basic physics tells us the shorter the distance we have to push a weight, the more weight that we can push. So we want to shorten the range of motion if we want to lift more weight. I have my lifters grab wider as opposed to narrower, because as you grab wider, the distance the bar travel is shorter. The next thing I have them do is shorten the distance that they have to actually move the bar from chest to lockout. We start doing that by arching the back. Your butt still has to remain on the bench. Your feet still have to remain on the floor. But what we've done is arched his back, which increased his leverage and also shortened the distance. From there, start your elbows locked out. I teach them to pull their shoulder blades back. And when they pull their shoulder blades back, that's 2 less inches they have to push, but they didn't even have to push the weight up. So we have a wider grip, an arched back, and then from there, we perform the lift. Now, most lifters, when they perform the lift, they bring their elbows straight out to the sides like this, and they touch in the middle of their chest. If you do that, the only muscles that you can really rely on to lift the weight back up is your chest muscles. And again, the more weight we can get in, the more muscles we can get involved, the more weight you're going to lift. So I teach them not to come with their elbows straight out. I teach them to tuck their elbows in part way. Not all the way into their sides, but they tuck in a little bit. They pause on their chest, and they don't touch below on their chest. They touch just below their chest. And then they push up and flare their elbows back out. By tucking their elbows in and flaring back out, we're not just using the chest. That brings the lats in, which is on the back. That brings the triceps in. And so lats, chest, and triceps together is going to lift more weight than just the chest alone. And we'll perform an example of this lift. We mentioned in powerlifting there are commands, and there are. It has to be a controlled lift. It begins with the lifter lying down and setting up. He grabs the bar evenly and wide, and once he's set up, he gets the command. The referee will say, start. The bar is motionless on his chest, press. His elbows have locked out, rack. At all times, the motion was under controlled and clean. Kyle, anything you'd like to share about your experiences with the sport?
Yeah, like you said, I started with him for about 3 weeks by myself, and we just kind of drew people in with the sport. It got very popular very fast. When I started, I weighed a chubby 186, and I ended up lifting in the 165. And now I'm going into UL, competing in the 163. And so I dropped about 20 pounds in a year, all with good diet, good training, and positive mindset. And it's definitely, I'm getting scholarships to go to school for it. So definitely a positive change in my life. So that's about it.
Thank you, Kyle.
Thank you.
So in a powerlifting meet, the squat is first. That tests the lower body strength. And then the bench press is next. And sometimes you'll have a lifter who's really good on the squat and not so good on the bench press. But it all adds up together for the total. And then the last lift is the deadlift. They oftentimes call this the caveman lift because everyone's been lifting stuff off the ground since the caveman days. And it's designed to test the lifter's back strength. I have my daughter Claire, who's only 9 years old, but she's been competing for 3 years. When she was born, I was the head coach of the UL powerlifting team, and I would take her into the weight room and sit her in the center of the weight room floor in her car seat. And so as the years went by, she kind of grew up in the weight room. I have a home gym at home, and she's known girls through the years. She's had really positive role models. The girls at UL are academically successful, they're mature, and that's the girl she's grown up looking up to, and it's been a good experience for her. So when she was 6, I let her compete in her first meet, and she's been competing ever since. I don't let her go heavy. She's young, and her body's still developing, so I don't let her do a lot of training, and I don't let her go too heavy. But we practice a lot on technique, and I'm pretty proud of her form. She's an experienced lifter. This is her favorite lift. This is the deadlift. Claire, if you want to come on up. Now, there's 2 ways you can perform the deadlift, and one's called the conventional deadlift, and that's for lifters who have a stronger back. And then the other way is called sumo, and that's where you spread your legs wide, and you try to lift the bar off the ground with your legs instead of your back. Claire is a conventional deadlifter. She starts by walking up to the bar and setting her feet evenly. And lifters will often say, okay, hold up one second. Lifters will often say, how wide do I put my feet? And here's the general rule. I tell them, jump up and try and touch the ceiling. Doesn't matter if you can touch it or not. As soon as the lifter tries to bend over to jump up and touch the ceiling, I say, look at your feet. That's where they go on the conventional deadlift. That's your optimal power position, and that's why you assume that to leap into the air. So, Claire sets her feet. We never on any of the lifts point our toes straight forward. If you do that, it makes it hard to push your hips in at the top. On the squat and deadlift, we always have our toes pointed slightly outward, which allows our hips to roll forward at the top. From there, the bar is right up against her shins or almost touching her shins. And the reason is this. I give this analogy. If you hold an axe out here, an axe is tremendously heavy. If you take that same axe or sledgehammer and bring it closer to your body, it feels lighter and lighter and lighter. Again, it's basic physics. It's getting closer to your center of gravity. So we do the same thing in the deadlift. We never want the bar drifting away from the body. We want to pull it as close to the body as we can. In meets, you'll see lifters actually have white stuff all over the thighs. What that is baby powder. Baby powder is really slick. Lifters will pull the bar, actually dragging it up their legs, and it slides on the baby powder. So Claire approaches the bar, her feet are even. She reaches just outside her legs. Now, you never want to grab too wide, because the wider you grab, the higher on your body you have to pull. If your arms are shoulder width, it sags lower on your body. Less distance, more weight. The bar is close up against her shins. She takes a breath of air, and she stands up. Good. Down. One more. Here we go. I'll let her sit up. Pull it into her body. Down. Good. Now what you saw was she didn't jerk it off the ground. A lot of lifters think you can get momentum and jerk quickly. That doesn't make you stronger off the ground. All that does is jerk your chest down and your butt up, which means once your butt shoots up, you only have your back muscles to lift. I teach them to squeeze it off the ground and your butt and back rise together. She's been doing that a very long time, so her deadlifts always have her butt and back rising together. Claire, anything you'd like to share about your experiences with the sport?
I don't know.
Let's see here. Which of the three lifts is your favorite? The squat, bench press, or deadlift?
Deadlift.
The deadlift. Tell me this. Have you ever bombed out of a meet where you couldn't follow the rules, you couldn't get your lifts in?
No.
No. How often do you get a weight so heavy in training that you can't lift it in practice?
Not that often.
Not very often. It's not just Claire at 9 years old that I teach that. I teach that to all the lifters. You don't want to miss reps in training. A lot of lifters think you have to grind out and it has to be brutally heavy in order to get stronger. And that's simply not true. I teach them all that when they finish a set, they should think, I could have done a couple more reps. If you finish all of your sets thinking you can do more, you're going to get stronger and you're probably not going to get injured. If you're always trying to squeeze out one more, your form starts breaking down and you get injured. And if there's one way to slow your progress down, it's to get injured. Have you ever had an injury?
No.
3 years of competition. Have never had anything get hurt in powerlifting? No, never. It can be safe for youth athletes. You just have to approach it smart and with restraint. So that's the conventional deadlift. Last but not least is the sumo deadlift. Thank you, Claire. I'll have Shelby demonstrate the sumo deadlift because that's how she competes. Now, Shelby, like most girls, is dominant in her hips as opposed to her back. It's the natural body structure of a female with the wider hips, makes them a hip dominant lifter. So we try and take advantage of their hip strength. And what we do is instead of having her feet narrow, relying a lot on her back to lift the weight, we have her spread her feet wide. Now, the emphasis is going to be on her hips. And when she bends down, her chest won't come very far forward. In fact, her chest will be almost upright. Go ahead and set up. She grabs the bar. Notice her arms are straight up and down. They're not wide, they're not narrow. The shortest distance you'll lift the bar comes from having your arms straight up and down. Her legs are spread wide. That way she gets the bar pulled close to her center of gravity and she squeezes it off the ground. Go ahead. Never jerking. Down. And we'll do one more. Down. All right, thank you, Shelby. Most common mistake I see in the deadlift. New lifters think that when they get to the top of a deadlift, they have to lean back. You don't have to lean back. All you have to do, all the benefits of the exercise come from simply standing erect. From a competition standpoint, we don't want to lean back because you have to lock out at the top. And when lifters lean back, oftentimes they unlock their knees, making the lift no good. And so that's the sport of powerlifting. We don't just train squat, bench press, and deadlift. We train all sorts of lifts to give us full body strength. But on competition day, we show how much we can do in each of those 3 lifts, and that's our total. And what's fun about the sport is you're really only competing against yourself. Yes, it's fun to go and place 4th or 5th or sometimes even 1st. But if you lifted a total of 400 pounds on one meet and several months later you lift 410 pounds, you won. You got stronger. And that's the name of the game. And with smart training, lifters can get stronger for decades. Lifters get stronger into their 40s and 50s. And, you know, it's a fun and healthy lifestyle. And it's brought a lot of good experiences to both my kids at Abbeville High and to my lifters at UL.
Okay, thank you, Coach. Wait until we get the camera back on us. Thank you very much. Well, look, I don't know about the viewing audience, but I really enjoyed this presentation thoroughly. It's one of my favorite episodes to shoot, actually, on my favorite topic of training. And you've given me, you know, an insight to the other world of weights, the powerlifting world. And really impressed with these kids, the work that they've come in and demonstrated these exercises. You know, speaks for itself, the success of your programs, the success of you and what you bring to these kids and your experience, and the role model that you are for them in training, discipline, and in excelling. I've heard a lot of impressive things that you haven't mentioned today about yourself. This individual is a very impressive individual, standing alone, in addition to being an excellent powerlifting coach. Really good with kids at the high school level, both at the college level. This is an excellent program to invest in. You want to invest in the kids of our area, the university system, the high school level. Support this powerlifting team, the Abbeville High School powerlifting team. You can make donations, contact Coach Travis Warren if you have any donations you'd like to make. Again, I want to thank the powerlifters that came on early in the game at UL, George Weatherford, who has to be on my Facebook page actually, and Warren Perrin, who I see at Reds on a regular basis, and his involvement in the French heritage and culture in our area here in Lafayette. And you know, I'm sure there are other people that contribute to UL's program and powerlifting in general in our area. I want to thank these individuals and want to ask other people to come on board if you're in, you know, in athletics and you out in business and you want to make a donation to this program. I think this is a very worthy program, keeping our kids off the street, giving them a very positive goal to shoot for, and reining in their good health, their academics, and then becoming a very productive citizen of our area. So I highly suggest, you know, I implore you to, you know, make a contribution to this program if you can. It'll benefit these kids. It'll benefit our community as well as a whole. Coach, you know, seriously, it was an excellent show. It's an honor to have you on, and a pleasure, of course, to have you here. We had a little mishap. Coach was supposed to come on last week, and we had a little mix-up in the schedule. He brought this team here. We weren't able to go on air at that time. We weren't able to tape, and I apologize for that. But glad you came back. Glad you put on such a tremendous presentation. Let's talk about a meet you have coming up next weekend. Tell us about this meet. And it's sanctioned by the USA Powerlifting Organization Association.
It sure is. And we have meets 5 to 6 times per year, drug-free meets through the USA Powerlifting Organization. And I just want to encourage anyone out there who thinks they might want to get involved in the sport to enter a meet. A lot of times lifters think, I'm not strong enough to enter a meet, and that's really just not what it's about. It's about going out there and seeing what you can do, and then getting stronger in the next meet doing more. And so we have lifters that will lift everything from 35 pounds up to 700 pounds. And it's all about you competing against you and getting stronger. The next meet we have is coming up this Saturday, July 18th. We'll be putting it on at Abbeville High School. It's called the USA Powerlifting Louisiana Summer Classic. Our youngest lifter at this meet is Claire, who's competing at 9 years old, and I have actually quite a few 12 and 13-year-olds competing as well. And our oldest lifter is a master lifter, a professor at LSU. She's 64 years old and competes in the 114-pound class. So we've got a pretty good range, ranging in body weight from I have a 12-year-old that weighs 66 pounds, all the way up to a super heavyweight that weighs about 340 pounds. So we cover all sizes, ranges. If you'd like to come and check it out, we'll be starting the lifting at 10 a.m. at Abbeville High School. Admission is $7. If you want to learn more about our organization or the sport, we have a Facebook page, USAPL Louisiana. It's a Facebook group where you can find out about our state records and meets. And we also have a website, LouisianaUSAPL.com. And there we have all the upcoming meets, information about the officers, teams, and gyms in the area. A lot of resources if you might be interested in getting involved in the sport.
Tremendous, Coach. Thank you again. I really appreciate it. This is Coach Travis Werner. He's coach of the Abbeville High School powerlifting team. They're having a meet coming up next weekend. Please, if you're interested in this sport, contact him for further information, or come out and see this powerlifting meet and firsthand learn what powerlifting is all about. And I want to thank you very much for tuning into the program tonight. It's Your Health. We strive each and every time to bring you something that's educational and somewhat entertaining. This has been both educational and entertaining. I hope you've learned a great deal. I've learned a lot tonight from this program, actually, from Coach Werner coming on and demonstrating and giving us this information that he has shared with us in the community. And I think it's an excellent program that you have, Coach, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure to have you on.
Thank you.
Yes. I'm Dr. Victor Plannis. I want to wish you a very pleasant good evening, and God bless you.